Hello, this is Mr. Arnold. In this video, we will discuss how to solve a polynomial inequality. Before solving and graphing, you need to make sure your polynomial has everything on the left-hand side or everything on one side and zeros on the other side. We're good to go here, so now we can just factor this polynomial. So we have 3x minus 2 times x plus 4 is less than 0. Next step, we need to find something called a test point. Set each part equal to 0 and solve for x to find your test points. So we have plus 2 to both sides. Second equation, subtract 4 from either side. One last step for the first equation, divide both sides by 3. So our two test points are 2/3 and -4. Next step, draw a number line and put your test points on it. So we had -4 and 2/3. Now, how many intervals do we have on the number line? Right, we have 3. We have everything less than -4. We have the interval between -4 and 2/3. And then we have everything greater than 2/3. We need to pick some numbers to test each interval to make sure what would make the inequality true or false. So I picked less than -4. I chose -5. But you could choose any point less than -4. In between, I chose 0. And then greater than 2/3, I picked 1. So what you do at this point, take each one of your test points and plug them back into the factored inequality. So in other words, we're going to plug them into 3x minus 2 times x plus 4 is less than 0. First up, let's test -5. So if we plug in -5 in place of each x, we have -15 minus 2, which will give us -17. The second part will give us -1. Now think about it. A negative times a negative will give you a positive 17. Is 17 less than 0? No, of course not. That is a false statement. So we can declare that everything less than -4 will not work. Next up, test the interval between -4 and 2/3. So we chose 0. So we have 3 times 0 minus 2 times x 0 plus 4 and we're trying to verify if that is true or false. So we have 0 minus 2 times 4, which will give us a negative 2 times 4, which will be negative 8 is less than 0. Well, negative 8 is less than 0 is definitely a true statement. So part of our answer is going to be between negative 4 and 2/3. The last test point, we need to test everything greater than 2/3. So let's pick x equal to 1. And plug this into the factored inequality. So we have 3 minus 2 times 5. And you could already probably tell what our verdict is here. Five is definitely not less than 0, so this is false. And that means that everything greater than 2/3 will not work, or is not part of our solution. So we can mark that accordingly. Now, to get our solution set, look back up here at the number line. Where is our test point true? Right, it's in between the negative 4 and 2/3. So that's where we would shade to graph it. Now, if you're given less than or strictly greater than, you have to use parentheses because you cannot include the endpoints. So we have parentheses here. And to write this as a solution set, it would just be negative 4 and 2/3. In the next video, we will discuss more about polynomial inequalities and how to solve them.